Hello everyone, so this is my second video today. So today I'm going to show you how to install another flavor of Linux which is great for older hardware, older computers. So let me go ahead and get my screen up here so you can see. Alright, so we're going to install what's called LXLE Linux. So this is a link, I'm going to leave it in the description for you so you can copy and paste it into your browser. So let me go ahead and paste and go. So the link is going to bring you right to the download page. So today we're working with the 64-bit version, which is 18.04.3. And the same instructions for the 32-bit as well. So to install it, the computer does require 2 gigs of RAM, which is which is not a lot of RAM, but it's good because most of the older computers don't have that much RAM in them. And the other thing you have to take into consideration when downloading the software is what kind of processor your old computer has, because if you're running a Pentium 4 or earlier generations of the Intel processor, or if you're running an AMD Athlon XP or older, it'll only be a 32-bit processor, so you have to keep in mind what bit rate how many bits your processor works at. And then the 64-bit processors are usually from like AMD Athlon 64. Some of the Intel Core 2 Duos are later. They run 64-bit as well. So, but for this tutorial, we're going to download the 64-bit version. The process is the same for the 32-bit, but the link will bring you right to this page. You can donate to help them build the this Linux as well. If it works for you and you like it, I would recommend giving them some money towards it, because it does cost money to develop as well as time. And anyway, I'm not affiliated with the. There's no affiliation at all. So, but it's a good operating system for the older computers. So that's the reason I'm showing it to you today. So I already downloaded the software. I downloaded the ISO file, so you'd have to burn it to a CD if you want to install on a main operating system. So let me get a VirtualBox going here. I already set up a new virtual machine for this version of Linux, so if you want to see how that's done, you can watch my installing Parrot OS video. But because I already made a video explaining how to set up the virtual machine, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and start the virtual machine. I already put the ISO in the virtual CD drive. This is the screen that we boot to. So I'm going to press enter to boot the live mode. And I already like this boot screen because it tells you everything that's going on, what processes it's loading, everything. So I'm going to let the video run through so you can see how long it takes to boot. And we have allocated 2 gigs of RAM for this virtual machine. And later on we'll play around with it and try it at 1 gig and maybe 512, see if it still runs, and that way we know the limits. But to install it, you require at least 2 gigs. Alright, so we're going to double click this icon here. It's pretty nice. It has a time up here in the middle, the weather, the date. Alright, so we're going to do English. And we're going to do a US keyboard, but you can change it to whatever you want. Let's download all of them, all the updates and all the software. And I'll pre-install the Wi-Fi hardware too if you happen to have Wi-Fi. Okay, so this is another. This is where you'd have to choose what you want to do with the hard drive. The more advanced people are going to choose something else where they can set the partitions the way they want it. But I'm going to keep it simple. Now this is a part where, if you continue, it's going to erase the entire hard drive. So if you haven't already watched my video about how to back up your data, I'll pop that up here in the right corner somewhere so you can click on it. And that way you can watch that video first. But if you don't have anything important or you already know you backed up your data, we can go ahead and click the Install Now button. Okay, so of course it's going to remind you that it's going to write changes to the disk. So it even gives you a warning that the data is going to be erased. So since I already told you, we already know what's happening. Time zone, we're going to keep that at New York. The All-American Tech Guy. That's my username. It lets me, well, this is the name. I'm going to pick a username, but instead of that I'm going to say AATG. Alright, password. I'm going to type in my secret password here. And the reason it's a very weak password is because it's literally the word password. But you can put in whatever you want. Okay, so now it's going to copy the files. So let's see how long this takes. I'm going to let the screen record here. Oh, there we got the Matrix screensaver. Haven't seen that movie in a long time. So it's 12:06 right now. Oh, it looks like it's cruising along there. I was actually going to pause it and come back to it. Let's click that and see what's going on. Although the resolution is low on the virtual machine, so if you had a higher resolution monitor, you'd see all the details by clicking the down arrow here. But since that's not the case, we'll have to deal with the low resolution. Of course, until we get the drivers installed to change it. Now there is a glitch. This is nothing relating to the video. There is a glitch in Parrot OS where you can't click and move the virtual machine around. But I learned if you click on the desktop and then you can go and move it, no problem. But as long as this window is active and it's focused on, you can't move it. So if any of you ever run into that, you can just now you know the trick to move it, because most of my main operating system I use is Parrot OS, so that's what we're going to deal with. And it's a minor, very minor inconvenience, but it's not enough to make me switch to another operating system. Alright, so now we're at configuring hardware. So anyway, if you have any questions about this install, you can always comment them. Comment in the bottom of the video here, and I'll do my best to get to them as quickly as I can. But I do work on the side and have other things happen in life. So when I have time, I go through the videos and read the comments and update them for you. Respond to your questions. So anyway, it looks like we're almost finished here. And I remember when AMD came out with the first 64-bit processor, people were buying them like crazy. We couldn't even sell Intel processors. Nobody even wanted them. And then it went back to when Intel came out with the i series. People wanted Intel again. They didn't want AMD anymore. And now it looks like there's a shift going back to AMD because of the Threadripper processor. So a lot of people are considering AMD again. And I personally used to have AMD processors, but I find that they ran too hot and they heated up my room. And I also have a tube amplifier too, and that throws off a lot of heat, so I prefer to have only one thing throwing off heat versus two things. But I'm running an i7 in here now, it stays pretty cool. Actually, I just realized my first computer had an AMD processor in it. It was a 286 and it ran at 16 megahertz. But at that time I was running MS-DOS, and it was I had a 40 megabyte hard drive in it, and it had about I want to say it had like I forget how much RAM it had, but it was measured in kilobytes. It wasn't even megabytes or gigabytes at that time. Okay, so now our install is finished, so we're going to go ahead and restart now. Now it's going to boot into the actual install on the hard drive. See, it's already very light. You don't have to it doesn't have to load any graphics or animations when it boots up. So, and you do have to press enter because it asks you to remove the drive. So after you press enter, it'll finish the reboot process. Okay, so we're at the login screen. So I'm going to type in my password now. Okay, so that brings you to the install screen, and it's recommended to do the software update, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, because there's a lot of updates that come out after a install, and if you do them now, it gets them out of the way. Okay, didn't bring up a install. Let me change the let me see what settings we have in here. Okay, I like all this stuff to be on the desktop. Some of you probably don't like icons on the desktop, but I like icons all over the place. And I'm actually keeping my main system pretty clean, because I only have maybe a handful of icons that I use. Control menu. Oh, it comes pre-installed with BleachBit. That's great. And Gpart is pre-installed. USB image writer is pre-installed. That comes in handy with Raspberry Pis. So it looks like they give you quite a bit of software pre-installed. They give you a package installer. I'll give you a couple of them. Okay, I'm looking for right now. I want to adjust the monitor resolution. Okay, I don't see that setting, but I'm sure it's here somewhere. I just gotta look a little harder. Monitor settings, there we go. 800 by 600. Let's do 1024 by 768. There we go. Now it's a little bit more reasonable. Okay, so this is a nice lightweight operating system. The system has, well, the virtual machine has 2 gigs of RAM. Let's get on the internet here. See what they have for a default browser. They have CMonkey browser, that's a new one. Let's see what that is. Let's see if I can install Brave, because I like Brave browser because it's very light on resources. Let me show you, since we're here, I'll show you how to install it. Hopefully it works. Okay, I'm assuming this is based on Ubuntu. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste these commands into a command line here. And you can do this with Parrot OS as well. Now what's weird is when you're copying and pasting, I don't know if you've ever done it through a command line before, but when you copy on the website, you do Control-C, or you can right-click and click copy. But then on the command prompt, or on the terminal, you have to hold down Control and Shift and press V, as opposed to pressing Control V, because Control V does another command in there. So I'll just go ahead and finish this off so you can follow along on the video. And I'm not going to paste the commands in this video, but I will paste a link to the Brave website where you can get the latest updates. It's over here. So all I'm doing is I'm just copying these and pasting them in the terminal. Okay, now here's where we do the actual install. Okay, yes. Let's see if this works. It should work. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Okay, let's see if we got it in the menu system here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we got Brave browser. This is the welcome screen here. So you can import your bookmarks from another browser, but the one that's in here, I forget the name of it. CMonkey. This one unfortunately is not supported by Brave, so it won't import it. Well, anyway, you'll see all this stuff. You can choose your search engine here. I like Start Page myself, so I'm going to choose Start Page. And if you wanted to do the Brave rewards, they pay you to watch advertisements and things like that, you can enable it. But for this video, I'm just going to click Done. And there we go. So we have Brave browser, a nice lightweight browser on a nice lightweight distribution of Linux. So let's see let's go to Control menu, see if it shows any System Profiler and Benchmark. Okay, so here we got 2 gigs of RAM, and it shows the physical processor. I have 6 cores in here that are allocated. Okay, so let me shut this off. Actually, let me put System Profiler on the desktop. Okay, where was that? Here it is. So I'm right-clicking on it, Add to Desktop. And if you want to put Brave on the desktop, you can do the same thing. Right-click on Brave, Add to Desktop. And you can probably add it up here somewhere too. Maybe not. There probably is a way, I just didn't figure out how to do it yet. Alright, So we'll go ahead, let's shut this off. This is the shutdown screen. Let's go ahead and let's give it 1 gig of RAM. Let's see how it runs with 1 gig instead of 2. Still boots. Although this is on a solid state drive, so it is a lot quicker. Okay, I lost my screen resolution here. There's 1024 by 768. There we go. Apply. Oh, you know why? Last time I didn't click save. That's why it reverted back. Okay, let's make this the default browser. Alright, so now we're running at 1 gig. Now I'm going to install a program called htop. So I'm going to type in sudo apt install htop. And I'm going to type my password, and I'll put this command in the description as well. It is a neat little program. Tells you how much RAM is being used. Okay, and to load it, just type in htop in the terminal. Okay, so the memory, we're at 247 megabytes out of 1 gig. And the rest of this is cache RAM. You know, it's cached. So it uses the free RAM as cache to make the system run quicker. And the swap partition only has 4 megabytes. Alright, let's do something. Actually, I'll close out here first. Control C exits that program, and we'll close it out. Let's go ahead and shut it down, and we'll... You know, I wonder if this will run on 256. Let's find out. .256, and a processor will make it 1 CPU. So 1 CPU and 256 megabytes of RAM. Let's go ahead and start it up. Okay, I already feel it's taking a longer time. Okay, yeah, it's too long. It's not even usable at that point, considering it's a solid state. Actually, let's go back to the 6 processor so we have something to compare it with. The other ones, yeah, the 1 gig was tested on 6 processors, or 6 cores. Okay. So 6 cores with 256 megabytes. Okay, I don't think it's liking 256 very much. Let's give it a half a gig, 512. Oh, looks like it's trying to load. Oh, there we go. Mistyped my simple password. Okay, now it retained the resolution. Yeah, it won't run on 256 because it uses more than the allocated RAM. So anyway, since I lowered the amount of RAM available to the system, instead of 4 point something megabytes, now it has 36.2 in the cache. So, but we still have 6 processor cores allocated to the system. Let's try, well, here's another way to shut down the computer. Instead of doing it through the command, the GUI, you can do it through the, as a command here. So you type in sudo shutdown now. And if you replace the word now with a 1 or a 2, it'll wait before it shuts down. But then this way you have to type in a password to actually get it to shut down. Okay, go to system, processor, let's try it. Let's try it with one processor core and 512 RAM. And that's a pretty low-end system right there if it was a physical computer. Alright, looks like it's still loading. And it's loading pretty quick too. But then again, it is a solid-state drive. That one I can't change. Oop. I don't want to do that. I want to do this one. Alright, so now you have one CPU core, the RAM, and the swap file. So this theoretically could run on a 512 system, but because the installer won't let it install on a system with 512, you may have to use a newer computer to load it onto the hard drive and then take the hard drive out of that computer and put it into your old one, which is kind of complicated, but chances are most systems don't have 512, but this is just for fun. Okay, and let's bump down one more thing here. So I'm going to bump down the video card. I'm going to give it 16 megabytes of dedicated video card RAM. And I'm going to disable 3D acceleration. So now it's going to be a real low-end, low-end system here. Maybe I'll get my hands on a old computer and actually try it on the real hardware for you guys. So far, yeah, if I had an old computer, this would be the version of Linux that I would put on there. I mean, I'm starting to see a little hesitation now with the lower video card, the one CPU core, but it's still loading up, so I would say I'm pretty happy with this version of Linux for old PCs. Anyway, so that's it. Maybe you can resurrect some of your old computers you have lying around, and hopefully it works out for you guys.